Me, Sarah Burns, and the Invisibles, calling from Toronto. Got arrived here at 2:30 in the morning, so it's been one of those days. So I just want to welcome you to this broadcast and just setting the intention that whatever comes forth today is here to be of greatest service to all those beings in the present or in the future that come to sit here and watch and listen and receive and offer in this way. So Ask the Invisibles is something I do weekly. I'm a little late today, sorry y'all. I'm figuring out the time difference. And it's an opportunity to bring forth a question for yourself, humanity, or the planet, or simply to receive the answers as they flow through. So the Invisibles are a group of spirit mentors that I've been working with since I was a young girl. And together we kind of offer this space to explore what is it to create space for these unseen allies in our lives to have a seat at the table, have a seat in the place of communication and observation and support that I do believe that they're here to offer. So how I'm going to start this is just welcoming the great beneath, welcoming the energies of this planet, the foundations of our life, the grounding force that is always so capable. We're so capable of accessing this land that we're here, the meeting place, beneath the city concrete, the sounds, remembering those beautiful underwater rivers and creeks that flow through this great city and the stories on this land that have been experienced and that will be experienced. So I want to honor the beyond, the unseen allies, the beings of the celestial realms, spirit guides and mentors, ascended masters, teachers, allies, star worlds, stars themselves, light beings, for bringing us that understanding of this expansive nature that we have within us and all around us, to remind ourselves why we show up here in these bodies, to give us that eagle eye perspective. So we welcome the great beyond here today. And then for whoever's watching, presently or in the future, your great within. So your stories, we welcome them. Who you are, your journeys, your dreams, your aspirations, what brings you to being human, to being in this body, to being in this life. We just thank you and congratulate you for making this choice to persevere and to explore this beautiful life. And in all of its complexities, which may not always just be beautiful. So hello everyone, welcome on. I'm sorry for being a bit late. I'm kind of in a different time zone I'm not used to. So how this works is I'm just going to start with the first questions for myself or for something that I'm holding for the world. And then we'll get to the questions on the thread. So if you're in the thread, please put a question for yourself, humanity, or the planet, and we'll do our best to get to them. So just ringing this bell, bringing us into presence and opening this container. So a theme that I've been holding today, hello Katie, she says, I can't stay today, but I want to come show you some love. Thanks for popping on, Katie. I probably won't be here too long either because I have a family dinner with all my relatives coming in like half an hour. So the theme that I'm holding and that I wanted to explore today with my question is, what if this goes for anyone that has a great teaching inside of them, and if that teaching provokes a sense of insecurity or a sense of feeling slightly repressed. And why I bring this up is I notice that as much as I am capable of coming forth and sharing and offering and showing up in the ways that I do, which I'm so honored to be able to do that for all of you, I do find that there's this teaching that I've been holding and I'm about to teach next week, which is called Pathways of Connection with the Unseen. And I've brought this teaching to the surface because it's actually been one of the most edgiest content that has been I've I've noticed having a resistance to teaching. And why I've had a resistance to teaching this content is for fear of the power of this content and what it could possibly do, supportive or unsupportive. And this goes a lot with a lot of mystery teachings. And for any of you, I know Emmeket's here, people that are holding these teachings, these mystery teachings that are very powerful and open doors and open gateways and open sensitivities and connection with our empathic nature, is that it is this edge walking world where when we support ourselves opening, but also when we support others opening and giving them the tools, wanting to do it in a way that the foundation can be laid so that those tools don't become used in a destructive way, or those tools, when not being properly supported, can cause a lot of mental breakdowns and things like that, which I've seen happen with different spiritual tools, and even with my own self, exploring when I've been offered different initiations that have not felt supportive and actually had a lot of maintenance to do after. For anyone that's experienced that with spiritual initiations that have been offered, if the space isn't there long enough to really integrate, and sometimes that can happen when we are in a busy time, in a busy life, where not everyone has that 6-hour deep dive or that 2 weeks immersion to really go and create that structure. It can be these big things, like even with Reiki, it's like you go for a couple hours and you've just been attuned. That what do we do with these attunements? What do we do when we've been given these ancient techniques without necessarily the proper amount of time to support them? So that's a longer conversation, but why I'm bringing this up is I want to explore with the Invisibles if they have any guidance or suggestions on how to teach or bring forth mystery teachings, so more esoteric or spiritual teachings, in a way that can be received in a clear foundation, in a safe way, but in a way that honors their capacity for expansion. So that's my question. And then after that, we will get to Emmeket. All right, here we go. You are not the teachings that you bring. Though the teachings that you hold may have shaped you, may actually create the structure for you to be more you, you are not those teachings. In fact, it is you that opens space to allow these transmissions, to allow these pathways to be shared. And just like any good road builder, there needs to be consideration on where are people desiring to go. What road is actually going to be used that's going to be easily maintained? And how to teach people and how to maintain that road themselves. Because as way sharers, as path bringers, as those who birth and pioneer direction, it's important to remember that your initiatory purpose isn't always there to watch the tail end of those who will travel, those who you've paved the road to explore these pathways. And so if you're in this place where you are holding a desire to create a pathway and fear the actual support needed for those to travel with safety and ease while maintaining curiosity on how to finish and go past where there may be those roadblocks, where that path may become a little more treacherous, a little more presence needed, of them. Remember that within your body, you have held the tiny steps that have got you where you are. And it's those tiny steps that is where the wisdom lays. Those paths that reached your destination, each of those paths is the wisdom that is needed. The destination is not what you are teaching. It is teaching how and tools to remind yourself that you are on the path and to continue moving forward. What can happen is that if there isn't any sign or surety that one is actually experiencing what they desire to, what they seek to experience, whether it's a spiritual phenomena, connection with the unseen, great mysteries, that to be in the wake of a great potency doesn't necessarily mean that each person is going to feel it right away, is going to have the revelations right away. It's up to you as a teacher to encourage the awareness of what those tiny steps feel like, sound like, look like, so that when people reach them, there can be a sense of accomplishment that encourages them to move forward. That is what your responsibility is. Thank you. I love that. That being able to support, reminding people or showing people what it feels like when you're taking that next step, what that looks like. I really appreciate that one. So hello everyone, popping on. It's Saera Burns and the Invisibles here in Toronto, downtown Toronto. So we may have all kinds of sounds behind us today. Who knows? So the next question we have is, and hello everyone that said hello. We've got Emma Cat next. Hey sweetie. We've got Clifford here, Jeannie, Katie Barrington might have already left, and everyone else. So the next question we have is, greetings. Curious was what the Invisibles would like to share about my recent move. All right. So interesting. Like before I get even dropped in, the first thing I heard was they heard this quote. So that they said was, holding on to sorrow is not the quickest way. Something like, holding on to sorrow is not the quickest way to happiness, but letting sorrow be your boat is the quickest way across these waters. Something like that. Whatever that means. Hey Maya, we got Amy Kayward here. So this is for Emma Cat. If there's any guidance around this move. Let's see. We're going to use food with you today. So what we're seeing is the teaching on the lasagna effect, which is understanding that there are many layers to create the experience of satisfaction in life, of completion. And once you've tasted what that feels like, there can be a little more demand for the pieces to be put in place to really reach that sense of satisfaction, of gratification in the experience. So for you, what we're seeing is that your move is part of creating another layer, another texture of experience in this life. Because with those textures of experience, you can actually taste more of what is going on for you. With the structure that you can create, there is a sense of savoring that can happen. Something that we're noticing, though, is that there's still this backlogged information in your gut. Whether it's guidance that perhaps you haven't felt that you've been able to Oh, they're kind of popping out. They want me to describe this. They're like showing me like, so with backlogged information for anyone, when I get backlogged information, for me, it turns into like migraines. That's a lot of my sign, that I just have a lot that I have that has been building up over and over, because that's my sense. But they're kind of showing me that like in your gut, in wherever that represents for you, I don't know if it's your intestinal tract or if it's actually more your stomach. They're kind of showing that there's still, it's almost like there's this unraveling process that's happening of this backlogged information or guidance that perhaps you haven't fully been able to feel like you could follow through with or listen to. Because sometimes when we get these guidance, these points in our lives, especially I know for you too, your Emiket is an amazing tarot reader, mystic priestess, and she also does readings online. You should check her out, everyone. Readings for the People, I think, is her Facebook or her website, if you want to link it. But something that they're showing me is that it's almost like, even though the structure is there to a point, there's still like, it feels like your system, like your body is still holding on to like residual imprints or residual, like they're saying, like kind of like memories that can have the space now to be digested more. And perhaps in the past that the space wasn't fully set up so that you could digest them, so that they're not actually getting involved in steering your ship. And why we're saying that is that they're showing me that your move and you creating this commitment into space and into allowing yourself some form of womb-ship is also an opportunity for you to get to the next layer of maybe some like heavier, or like kind of the image, like they're saying, like they're just showing me all the tectonic plates and like these, they're really like layers for you, my dear, like lasagna, and I'm seeing like layers of like mud and earth, and that going into what's a deeper layer of yourself that perhaps hasn't felt what they're calling encouragement from your deeper knowing to follow through with some of these things. And even in this like decompressing from whatever this backed up information that's being held in your gut is it really feels like it's not even relevant really as much too. Like some of what, this might sound like contradicting guidance, but it feels like a lot of what that is actually not even relevant anymore. It's like kind of like these older patterns or these older energetic imprints that can really be shed now, because the frequency that they're holding is actually not needing to support you in being able to navigate your life in the same way. And why I say that is that in my experience too, is that there's certain frequencies that, and those frequencies can be turned into thought patterns, can be turned into relationships, can be turned into everything. And so in order to actually cope and cope with our lives and different circumstances, whether it's living circumstances or dynamics, it's almost like there's different frequencies that we as people, or I'll say in my experience, need to hold as like a part of my toolkit. I'm like, okay, like here I am in Toronto right now. It's like I'm gonna have to like hold and like be able to put on these shape-shifting frequencies and like hold these different parts of myself so I can navigate and flow through these cities. But what they're showing me is that there's certain things that you've been holding as maybe part of your identity, or maybe some just like energetic armor or support that you actually don't need in the same way anymore. And so by realizing that you can actually let that go, that backlogged information and that backlogged experiences, you're actually able to create this fresher path and really utilize this fresh path for you in a way that can build you to the next step, right? Because you're already where you can be now is a lot further than even possibly where you're seeing yourself at. Just by getting rid of that backlogged information will help you speed up to where you are at. Truly, my dear. So there you go. All right. So moving on. Hello, everyone, by the way. I'm so glad you guys have found me. I was a bit late today. So, Let's see, the next question we have is from Robin. You hear, hun? Robin Mahalbatin. Yay. And Emiket, if you want to plug yourself in the comments, please do. If you want to put your website, I highly encourage you guys check out Emiket. And go make some lasagna, make some witchy lasagna, Emiket. Put some intentions into each layer. That would be fun. And then eat it. So Robin says, hello, Saera, and thank you for being here for us. I would like to ask for guidance on my desire to shift to doing what I love, illustration and writing full time. I'm so used to holding on to a day-to-day job to pay the bills, but I'm finding my inner self firmly saying no more of the day job. Are my efforts to create self-employment going to work out? Well, one thing that I can say is that self-employment and being an entrepreneur is a huge amount of work, and it requires continuous reevaluation of your trust and your belief in yourself, your capacity to shine and allow yourself to shine, and also your understanding that something that my mom, who's an entrepreneur, taught me was that, and take this or leave this, I just relate to it, but that, 20% of most entrepreneurs' work is actually doing what they love. Successful entrepreneurs, in the way of like, if what you love is that creation, that process, that it might turn out to be like 20% of it and the rest is everything else. And so just knowing that if you're ready to, you can explore loving the rest of it. I know I've learned to explore all the business savvy stuff with my work. I'm like, okay, website design and all this tech savvy stuff. But for you, let's see what they have to say about you exploring illustration and writing. And knowing that, for me, something that I've learned is that's really important, and I don't think enough people share, is that if you are holding a seed of purpose, of creation, that really nothing should stop you from doing that. It doesn't mean that you even have to quit your job, to be honest, but it does mean that how can you actually create the space you need to even start putting more energy into what you feel like you're here to do. And so for anyone that is encouraging or wanting to start some entrepreneurship work, I encourage to first start out with, can you create one day a week where you are going to solely focus on your craft, where you explore, where you are going to be maybe making content, networking, studying, putting that day towards, as though it's your job, right? Before it's even your job, if you want, where you're creating that one day a week. And I found that by me I'm a mother. If I had, it's a big job in itself. But what I found is that by creating the actual space for what I love and I do that with Asking Invisibles. That's why I'm here every week, because I know that I need to commit to showing up to what I love to do. And by creating that space, whether it's an hour a day or 5 hours a week, actually starts creating almost like, I think of it as an energetic anchor, purpose anchor in your field. So energetically, you start actually putting your vote in that you are ready. And I like to see it as like creators watching us and showing us where are we actually showing up and how are we showing up for what we love. And noticing if there's stories that are getting in the way of you showing up for what you love. So even exploring, like with the day job, being like, okay, if the day job is your story of not doing it, how can you, actually, I'm going to rewind. Okay, the Invisibles want to speak. Let's see what they've got to say in here. What you bring when you are sitting in the seat of creativity is beautiful. When anyone is sitting in the seat of what brings them a sense of purpose, value, and authentic expression, that is sitting in the seat of purpose. That is sitting in the seat of authentic expression. And so for you, what we're noticing is that in some ways, you haven't allowed yourself to sit in that throne, to claim what you're here to bring as viable, as important, as needed. The thing with life is that the rules are quite malleable, because the rules of your life are doctrined, are created also by you and your belief systems. So if your beliefs are getting in the way of you actually allowing yourself to believe that what you bring is needed, that what you bring can support you, then before letting go of any job, you need to go into the beliefs. Because if there are beliefs set up to sabotage or to deconstruct these creations you're desiring, then it will continue to happen. And so for you, figuring out what is the sole reason you stay in these jobs? Is it security of income, sustainability, even if it's not emotional satisfaction, sustainability? And then feeling into what would it look like and feel like to be sustainable in what you are offering. Because as an entrepreneur, there can be this sense of the unknown. But it's in that expansiveness that you can begin to bring in more connections, more resources as you put that lighthouse on. So for you, we want you to explore who are some of your mentors in this work. Who are some artists? Who are some writers? Who are some people that you feel have brought a lot to this industry that you respect? And explore that. If you can take some interviews even. Oh, they're kind of popping out. They're showing actually this image of this seems like maybe a totally different direction, but if you are going to start, they're kind of showing this image of you actually doing these interviews. And I don't know where you're at with technology or all that, but I'm seeing these interviews of exploring illustrators and writers and people that are really doing or following the path that you're really interested in. And that in these interview processes, though, you could actually turn them into possibly a mini webinar. They could be all, they don't have to be necessarily in person, but I'm kind of seeing this journey of you working and communicating and interviewing people about how they've brought this work into their lives, into other people's lives, that could actually also slightly get yourself into, I'm almost seeing this, opening yourself up to being within the field of energy these people are holding, of standing in their offering. And it might be a bit big for you to do that and put it out, but for some reason they're just showing me this, creating these interviews and as a way of also preparing yourself on an internal world to be able to hold the parts of you that are unsure. Because what they don't want me to tell you, I can't tell you you're going to be a successful illustrator, because what I can tell you is that they're saying that there's beliefs that could completely sabotage you if you let them be there. And so exploring where are the belief systems that might be getting in the way of you being able to take these next steps, and then where are the ones that are here to support you actually flourishing, even if it's the idea of what's that middle path. So for anyone too that's exploring, that wants to explore entrepreneurship, it's well, what is that middle path? Because sometimes the process of completely unplugging from all structure, all income coming in, can be a bit much, right? And then I've met a lot of people that they like, I'm going to do the entrepreneurial path, and then they drop everything that represented the structure for them, the financial structure, the even like different social dynamics, and then all of a sudden it's just too much, and then they feel that they're like, oh, I can't do this, it's not cut out for me, and they go back into it. And so for you and for anyone too that might be exploring that, what is that middle path so that you can have some foundation in this process of exploring? If it's getting grants, if it's getting exploring how can you, there's a lot of money out there, everyone, that wants to, that's there to set up to help build people in their crafts and in their offerings as artists and writers and illustrators. And there's ways of tapping into that and letting that help you with that foundation of your work. So explore whatever feels important to you. And for everyone too, I forgot to say it earlier, believe it, receive it, leave it, or lend it. So if anything I say speaks to you, is turning on that light within you, is exciting you, is feels purposeful, feels meaningful, feels important, like take that. If something I say just doesn't resonate in a deep way, like you're just saying like, no, that's not for me, I want you to honor that. I'm not a supporter of encouraging people to manipulate their internal compass to into distrusting what you're feeling. But at the same time, I am also here to hold and support each of you accountable to knowing the difference between a no and the difference between I don't want to hear this. That's up to you. So blessings to you, my dear, on that path. And I'd love to see some of your work. If you have a website or anything that you want to post and people could take a peek at, or if you want to post a little picture, one of your illustrations, that would be amazing. I know for me, I do art, but I don't really put it out there that often. And so for my class, I'm creating these little cards, these little oracle cards to help people retain the teachings. So here we go. Oh, we got Hala. Yay. We've got Amy Kaywood. Ona. All right. So moving on. Amy, my dear. Are you here? Oh, good. Robin says, completely accurate and so helpful. Thank you so much. You're so welcome, my dear. Amy, are you here? So Amy Kaywood or Cowwood says, hello, Sarah. Just wondering how my day will go today. Thank you. Oh, that's sweet. I'm trying to do future readings, but we can feel into the energy that you are holding right now. Yes, you are here. Perfect. Yeah, and so something that is a very powerful practice that I am intending to remember more is to, when you wake up, or even right now, if anyone wants to right now, you can even creating your intention for the day. And one of the ones that I found has had the most amazing results when I do that is waking up, and something I'll do is I do a breath exercise. And so the breath exercise starts with, for my coughing, that's not it. The breath exercise starts with breathing out. And so breathing out any expectations, any old energy, any beliefs on how my day will go, any old patterns that I might be holding that can get in the way of me creating a fresh new experience. And I just do this breath where I breathe it out, setting the intention. Okay. Breathing out old expectations, and then breathing in the unknown and the beauty and the expansiveness and the connections that can occur today that are here to truly help me in my path of being of greatest service. And so in that breathing in, I also like to just feel like I usually see it as a landscape, to be quite honest. So when I'm breathing in, it's like I'm seeing this big expansive, there's like a mountain and there's this huge like skyscape and the sun's rising, and it's this feeling of this limitless potentiality of each day, because there really is the capacity for each day to be miraculous, for some unknown synchronicity to occur in your life that lifts you up, that changes your path, that gets you onto track, that removes the obstacles that have felt permanent or impenetrable. That our capacity to hold that seed of potential is so important. And so for you, my dear, what I want you to explore is, in this moment, how can you state a prayer, or what would that prayer be, that would encourage you to open up any constrictive patterns that may be limiting your capacity to experience life today? And just explore for today, what would it feel like? You can even visualize. Something that I like to do sometimes is visualizing patterns like outfits or garments, because I'm a seamstress. So sometimes I'll think of like, okay, I'm wearing this cloak, and maybe this cloak represents these patterns that I wear to cloak myself in life and to move through life, to kind of make my way every day. And what would it feel like to just like take off this cloak for a day and just put that cloak to the side, and to navigate life in my authentic joy and my authentic experience? Because something that they're showing me right now is like, for you, it feels like there's like someone that's like, there's like this excitement, and I don't know, it's like I'm feeling like it's like this sparkly energy, but it almost feels like, yeah, what they're saying is the potential to explore that has been muted. And so maybe if there's somebody you might be thinking of when I speak to that, or if there's someone that you can, or maybe today you'll meet someone that has that sparkly energy, but what would it be like to unmute your experience, unmute the part of your inner voice, your inner sanctum that's saying like, explore that, communicate with that person. I want to share something with that person, even if it's like tea or laugh or giving them a high five, sending them a little message. But it feels like there is some sparkly energy that I would like for you to possibly explore a bit. And I can't share what any outcomes will be, but to trust that when you have these feelings, when there are these people in our lives that kind of like lighten us up, that heighten our senses for whatever reason. A lot of the time, I don't even need to know why I feel that way. It might not even be from this lifetime, right? Like there's some relationships where I'm like, we clearly have experienced another life together, because the emotional reactions I have to you, the sensations I have when you're near, are completely unwarranted to our actual connection in this lifetime. Like sometimes it's just a person that you see walking down the street and you're like, oh, wow, I know you. But to explore, what would it be like to actually kind of follow for a day any of those impulses? And so something that I don't know what your day, if you actually have a very structured scheduled day, but knowing that you can even do that when you're going to work. And so something I used to do when I would go to the workplace, or have these long days, is remembering that like my capacity to create unexpected, miraculous miracle moments in every day doesn't change because I'm working 8 to 5 job in a basement, right? I can still put that little seed of intention in. And so what I would do when I was working too is I would just set that intention. I'm intending that today I'm going to meet a person that truly inspires something in me, and I truly inspire something in them, or I'll create a connection that really motivates me in a certain direction, or I'm going to meet someone today, or I'm going to experience a sensation or a feeling that helps me understand something. And so for all of you watching, how can you create more intention in your days to kind of navigate how Creator wants to move through us and our experiences as Creator in our day, and just open that potentiality just a bit? And I would love to hear all these fun things that happen, because I know, at least in my experience, every time that I create that conscious decision to make that space for the unexpected, mind you, I like to say, the highest and best good and the highest and best way, thank you very much, things happen, right? So let those miracles in, because sometimes miracles also need the space created for them to occur. So that's what I say to you and all of you watching. So that was for you, Amy. Maybe explore, how do you want to play with your day? How do you want to take that cloak off just for a day? And then you can put it back on if you're feeling uncomfortable with the outcomes. But I think the outcomes will, in the long run, be really serving for you. You're so welcome, my dear. So we're almost done. We've got Maya Jean. All right, Maya Jean, you are the last question today, which is perfect. Are you here, my dear? Maya, this is a great question, by the way. I'm just going to read it out loud. And, hey, Shanti. Calling from Toronto. So Maya is saying, you are here, perfect. So Maya is saying, my question to the Invisibles is, do the Invisibles have any tips on how I could let go of all my fears and live the life I want to live? Many thanks for your energy. Hey, Cedar. All right. So this is a good question, and something that I want to explore too, and we'll let the Invisibles talk because they've got a bunch to say on this topic about exploring fears and their capacity to derail life, is also understanding what fears are also just instinctual, like they're instincts that have been bred into us. Okay. And so this goes into understanding and exploring genetic imprinting, or not even what's that called? It's how the belief, and this is something I've worked with, which is DNA reprogramming, and understanding that each generation upon generation is putting their 2 cents in on a biological level on what needs to remain in the DNA to be passed down, generally to be passed down to encourage life as a form of safety mechanism. And that fears in a primal way are here to keep us safe, right? But over time, what fears may have been relative to our ancestors 3 generations ago, what instincts, don't drink the water, don't trust people, whatever that may be, tweaks every generation, right? Because where we are now, I'll say where I'm at now, is much different than where my great 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 grandmothers were. And so for you, something I'm feeling is that some of these fears that you're holding on to are genetic, and they've been passed down to you as a form of protection. And so it's up to you to stare that fear in the face in the way of asking, where is it applicable to your life now? Are these fears actually serving you in any way? Because sometimes, and a lot of the time, what can happen with, especially in the DNA, stored DNA memories, is that fears are there because they have been proven to support life. Even if they've also, got in the way of living a lot of life and experiencing life, the more that they are established as supportive, the more the DNA keeps it, right? So that's where it can be kind of tricky, because sometimes these fears on a logical level might seem absolutely preposterous and ridiculous, but in your body, and then we feel like this for you too, my dear, it's like in your body is like, no, this is like important. I need this fear. This fear is my safety mechanism. This fear is my warrior. This fear is my guardian. This fear is my protector, right? And so by reestablishing a relationship with your capacity to choose, is this fear actually supporting you in the life you want to live? Where is it supporting you? Even if it's just an ounce of support, if there's enough to trick your own patterns into thinking that it's still valid, then it can stay, right? Because working on the DNA, working with the body, is a lot trickier than working with fears that you've created in this lifetime through circumstances. So let's see what the invisibles have to say. And then for anyone popping on too, this is the last question because I have a family dinner. Because I'm in Toronto now. I've got all this family that wants to see me and my daughter. Woo! All right. Something that we see is that your fear has been led to believe that they are your knuckles. They are what you fight with. But that same fear fights and destroys you. It destroys your sense of self-worth. It destroys your sense of accomplishment. It gets in the way of you actually building a foundation that helps you feel safe without this fear, right? And that's where it gets tricky. And so we understand that there is a sense of disempowerment in that. So for you and for anyone else this may relate to, if your fear is something that is crippling your capacity to grow because you cannot grow with the fear. Does that make sense? So some fears actually are here because in transcending those fears and moving through those fears and witnessing and staring those fears in the eye, you actually then become the dominant force of that fear. You alpha that fear. And so for you, we need you to explore what would it be like to alpha that fear and to notice in your body what it feels like to believe in yourself and your inherent strength to be the, for lack of a better word, the ruler of your own queendom, right? You can think of fears as soldiers that have taken the throne. It's not where they live. Fear is here to be a supportive mechanism, a primal instinct that allows you to keep not only alive, but children, the next generations alive and safe. So we want you to explore what in your current situation are actually possibly not feeling that safe, or that your capacity to soften is not there. Because some of your fears are alarm bells going off, asking for you to make a change. And until you listen to those fears are here to support you. Okay? So they're actually showing me, and for some reason I feel like I don't want to fully get into this here. But yeah, it's like, I think this might be like a real thing, and maybe I don't know if there's someone in your life or like in your neighborhood or somebody or some like that you're kind of feel unsafe with, or it's like they're showing me this feeling that that some of these fears, it's almost like some of them you've been living with for so long, or maybe your ancestors have been living with for so long that they have become part of the identity, that this is just part of being in your body. Is like, okay, I have this alarm system that goes off and is ridiculous. But what if some of that alarm system is actually going off because there is something in your environment that, not necessarily that you're in danger, but that there is something in your environment that your system and your empathic like alarm system is saying, I cannot fully feel safe with this current situation or this current like living situation. I don't know if it's your home or like there's some, like they're showing me this like something in the neighborhood or in your house if you're in a building. I don't know if you're in a building with other people, but to explore in yourself, this is something you can ask yourself, and you can also journal it and kind of brainstorm, is exploring places in your life that you have felt really safe, moments in your life, people that help you feel safe, and just starting to go into that sense of what it feels like when your nervous system is actually softened enough. Because when the nervous system, when people are holding on to a lot of different fear mechanisms, it actually restricts the energetic system. So energy wants to flow through us, right? That's the nature of life. That's growth. It goes down into the roots of trees. It goes up into the leaves. It's this beautiful cycle. And so what can happen is that fear is almost like when winter comes and plants need to like bring their energy down to the roots. They need to save and protect that vital life force. And in that protection, it means that there's a lot of the plant that's not fully experiencing itself. So there's a lot of ourselves that are not fully having that heightened sense of awareness or acuteness. And so to create life from that place of withholding and having your energetic resources actually almost bottled up within you can be really tricky to see the life that you want on the outside, because your internal world, your precious sanctum of who you are, is being held so close within you. And so for that tree, for that blooming to naturally happen, it's important to notice what in your environment is creating that reaction so that your being is needing to protect itself. And then setting the intention and journaling, what could it look like? What would your dream environment, right? Like for me, a lot of my powerful manifestations that have come forward in home and building the life I want, which I have the life I want right now, which is hallelujah, I feel so blessed, has been a lot of getting into what is my feeling sense? What does it feel like to feel safe, right? I'm going to keep doing this. What does it feel like to feel safe? What would that feel like to be able to relax fully in my body? I have a family, so I put my family in that prayer, for my family to relax. Because from that place of being relaxed, that's when life force starts moving. And that's when ideas start moving. And that's when your capacity of the energy you need to follow through with your path and your dreams in this life start moving, right? And so for anyone watching this too, noticing, is there any systems in your being that is withholding energy, that vital life force, as a form of protection? And what can you do? And how can you set the intention that you are open to doing whatever is needed in your life to create the spaciousness for your body to feel safe? Step one, right? Because with that safety, so much opens up, so much of what you can do and who you can become and the lifestyle you want and the people you want and the dreams you want, those all come as a form and an expression of starting from the foundation of safety and trust and receptivity to life. So starting there, my dear, and from there, that's when you're going to start seeing what the lifestyle you want really is, right? Because sometimes when we create dreams from a place of feeling unmet, from a place, when we build our intentions from a place of feeling like our internal resources are drained, we don't have what we need, we're in fear, we're in shutdown mechanism, then those actual intentions have that frequency in them, right? Because I believe that I can only create so much from what I'm building off of. So blessings to you, Maya, my dear, and thank everyone for popping on. If you are in Toronto, I'm just going to plug this for a moment. If you are in Toronto, I am offering a class on purposeful connection with the unseen. I'm also considering doing it on Skype. So I'm doing a live class as well while I'm doing it in physical. So if you're interested, because I think the Wi-Fi is strong enough here and you want to come to the class, wherever you are in the world, I might be open to doing that. And then if you're in Toronto, I'm doing Ask the Invisibles by donation at Pedestrian Sundays. So spread the word if you know any folks in Toronto, and I look forward to potentially meeting some of you in person. That would be fabulous. So blessings to your day and to this life, and thanking the great within for coming, all your stories and experiences and memories, each and every one of you, for showing up. What an honor. Thanking the great beyond, the unseen allies, the support networks that hold us, that bring us that expansiveness. Thank you so much, Invisibles. And then finally, the great beneath, the energies of this planet, this foundation, the bedrock of our life, our capacity to grow and thrive and have what we need and also offer back to this beautiful, replenishing, regenerative cycle that is this earth. Thank you. And with that, just closing this container. And Ask the Invisibles will not be happening next Wednesday, by the way, because I'm going offline to my grandma's farm in Ontario. So I will post that. But we will see you come back in 2 weeks when I'm back on Salt Spring Island. So until next, all you beauties, have a fantastic, authentic,